I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime, and this is Currents.
These gifts are helping women help themselves.
People just really responded to the beauty of the work, the quality of the work, and knowing that it was supporting people in need.
One of the hottest tickets this Christmas season may be coming to a church in your area. And a celebration 800 years in the making.
Francis and Clara and their followers loved the world. They sang about the world, the beauty of the world, and the treasury of the world.
Well, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. With the Advent and Christmas season almost here, stores will soon be packed with shoppers looking for that perfect gift.
Yeah, if they haven't already gotten out there, right? Well, instead of heading to toy stores and department stores, you may want to consider something that is homemade and something that also profits a good cause.
Handcrafting Justice is a project of the Sisters of the Good Shepherd. They help women in developing countries actually create opportunities for themselves.
Yeah, sort of a win-win. Through the program, these women hand make all kinds of gifts, which are then marketed at a fair price. And that is the focus of the project, fair trade. We had the chance this past Sunday to find out more when the project made its way to St. Mary Gate of Heaven Church in Jamaica, Queens.
It was so nice. I have to go. I can't risk missing this one too. All right, we'll be back. Well, I was looking for a way to give back in a way that I could help support people living in poverty globally. And I think that by spreading education and awareness about fair trade and about the situations of these people that are being marginalized globally is a great way in this country to help empower them and improve their lives. Well, it's important, especially in this country, because we are so privileged to have a different standard of living than these people who are being exploited and marginalized in so many ways. And I think, especially as Catholics, and part of our, commitment to Catholic social teaching is to help these people in need globally. This scarf that I'm wearing, the shawl that I'm wearing, has been hand woven by a woman in Chile who has fled her home due to domestic violence reasons. Handcrafting Justice began about 12 years ago. We're run by the Sisters of the Good Shepherd, and it started when the sisters from North America would go and see what the sisters were doing internationally with the people living there. And they saw all the beautiful crafts that they were making and brought them to the United States to sell them. And people just really responded to the beauty of the work, the quality of the work, and knowing that it was supporting people in need by purchasing it.
All of our families came here as immigrants, looking for a chance. And this kind of a program gives a chance to people. So it's the same kind of things that my grandfather and grandmother came here in order to be able to do to get a chance.
I've been with Handcrafting Justice for about 12 years now, and I started out by answering the only want ad they've ever put in a newspaper, and I was the only person who answered the ad. And here I am 12 years later. And having been blessed with so much in this life, I feel that I have to be able to share with them and help and contribute whatever small part that I can for doing something for somebody else and working with them in order that they can better their lives.
What we do here is to try to get some social events and to bring unity to the parish as a whole. And we, as women of hope, feel that we should be, besides helping the rest of the population, be specifically helping women to help support their families through this project.
We have all sorts of items. We have a lot of indigenous things. We like to support indigenous communities worldwide. We have household goods and pottery, clothing, scarves, really, quite a variety of things, toys. These people have great skills and make beautiful products.
I have a lot of wine drinkers, so I bought this little tuxedo to cover the bottle. And I bought myself, for my brown coat, a beautiful scarf.
Oh, I think it's beautiful. I can't believe that these are not manufactured by machine, that they're all handmade. It really is good. Very well done. Very well done. The craftsmanship was excellent.
If I had to add anything to the program, I would like to see many more volunteers involved in doing this kind of work, because we need people to help to do our sales. We need more help in the office. so that anyone who has time, if they get in touch with Handcrafting Justice, it would really be an absolute joy to yourselves.
The dignity of people saying, I'm going to make my way, is just incredible, because it's life-giving to them, to their families, and it connects us to one another, too, around the entire world.
Oh, definitely some very, very interesting items, some very beautiful items there, handcrafted and made by some very, very talented people.
Yeah, I mean, there's more to life than Build-A-Bear or, you know, the American Girl dolls and whatever. You can find some beautiful dolls and things there that you wouldn't find at the mall, that you just can't get when you're going to Toys R Us. And it all goes to support them and a good cause and their livelihoods, really.
Yeah, and every stitch of it is handmade, and you know that these are people who really take pride in the work that they do. That's obvious just from looking at it. So it's definitely something that you can do for a very good cause.
And there are a lot of ways that you can contribute and help other people too. Instead of giving gifts, I know my mom usually gives to Heifer International, like she'll give a llama or some kind of a, you know, an animal to a Peruvian family or something, and, you know, put it in my name. And that's kind of another way that people can do stuff instead of just giving somebody something.
Yeah, well, that's very true, and of course we'll have more on all those different kinds of ways that you can help give during the holiday season right here on Currents. And we've written more about Handcrafting Justice on our blog as well. Just head over to currentsny.net, click Riding the Wave in the right-hand part of the screen.
And stay tuned, there's much more Currents straight ahead when we return. The latest in the healthcare debate. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. Coming up later, they've been around for 800 years, but the Franciscan Order is still going strong. We'll take you to a unique celebration.
But first, let's have a look at the day's headlines. The Senate health care bill needs substantial improvement. The words of representatives from the U.S. Bishops' Conference. In a teleconference yesterday, a bishop spokesman says the bill fails in 3 areas: abortion funding and conscience protection, health care for immigrants, and accessibility and affordability. The spokesman made clear that in calling for a change to the Senate bill, the representatives were not asking for changes to existing laws. Meanwhile, pro-life and conservative leaders are also speaking up about the Senate bill. Family Research Council President Tony Perkins says the Senate should have included an amendment passed in the House that does not allow federal funding of abortion. Wendy Wright, the president of Concerned Women of America, was also critical, saying the bill would penalize married couples by forcing them to pay higher taxes. Well, the face-off between Rhode Island Congressman Patrick Kennedy and his bishop has become more heated over the last few days. As we hear from CNN's Mary Snow, the bishop is now telling his side of the story to the media.
An extremely personal religious ritual has now become the focus of an intensely political clash, one that pitches Congressman Patrick Kennedy against Catholic Bishop Thomas Tobin of Providence, Rhode Island, over Kennedy's support of abortion rights. The bishop is speaking out after Kennedy was quoted in the Providence Journal saying, "The bishop instructed me not to take communion and said that he has instructed the diocesan priests not to give me communion."
The fact that I had instructed all of our pastors not to give him Holy Communion, which of course is patently false. I have no idea where he came up with that little piece of fiction.
Bishop Tobin says he did write to Kennedy in February of 2007, saying, "I believe it is inappropriate for you to be receiving Holy Communion, and I now ask respectfully that you refrain from doing so." But he says he did not order priests to deny Kennedy communion, saying, "I am writing to you personally and confidentially as a pastor addressing a member of his flock." Requests for comment from Congressman Kennedy went unanswered, but Kennedy has been outspoken about the threat by Catholic bishops to oppose health care reform if it includes federal money to fund abortions. Last month, he told the Cybercast news service that bishops were fanning the flames of dissent and discord.
Right now, we have 50 million people who are uninsured. You mean to tell me Catholic Church is going to be denying those people life-saving health care? I thought they were pro-life.
Whether a Catholic politician's views should influence his right to communion, say theologians, is heavily debated inside the church.
The simple fact is that most bishops don't want to deny communion to politicians. And we know for a fact that Pope John Paul II gave communion to pro-choice Italian politicians. So the question is Bishop Tobin more Catholic than the Pope on this?
CNN's Vatican analyst points out that just a few months ago, Congressman Kennedy's father, Senator Ted Kennedy, who also supported abortion rights, was exalted in the Catholic Church when he died.
That may seem contradictory to some people, but the plain reality is that the Catholic Church and the Catholic bishops of America are divided, not so much on the abortion issue, they're uniformly pro-life, but on the question of how do you police fidelity to the pro-life position inside the church.
Congressman Kennedy is not the only pro-choice Catholic lawmaker in Providence. Bishop Tobin denies he's singling out Kennedy, saying he's responding to comments that he's made and that other members of the congregation haven't been as vocal.
Well, in addition to speaking with CNN and local Rhode Island media, Bishop Tobin also appeared last night on Hardball with Chris Matthews.
The FBI has released hate crimes statistics for 2008, and religious-based crimes were the second most common type carried out last year. Out of the more than 9,500 hate crime victims last year, nearly 5,000 were targeted because of their race. Investigators say more than 1,700 were targeted because of their religion, and nearly the same number were made victims because of their sexual orientation. Of the religion-motivated crimes, the majority were anti-Jewish. About 5% were anti-Catholic. Well, as Pope John Paul II's cause for sainthood is being considered, reports are circulating that the late pontiff whipped himself in remorse for his sins. Reports say a nun who worked for Pope John Paul submitted testimony to the Congregation for Causes of Saints, saying that he would submit himself to bodily penance while at his summer home at Castel Gandolfo. A bishop has given testimony saying he heard of Pope John Paul's flogging himself, but he never actually saw that. Self-flogging is sometimes used by people to remind them of Christ's suffering. Well, after meeting with Pope Benedict over the weekend, the head of the Anglican Communion says he feels reassured about relations between the Anglican and Catholic churches. Dr. Rowan Williams, the Archbishop of Canterbury, says he told the Pope he was in an awkward position after the Vatican announced in October it would allow disaffected groups of Anglicans to become part of the Catholic Church. Archbishop Williams says during his meeting with the Pope, his feelings were expressed and heard in a very friendly spirit. Williams also said that the Pope has reassured him the invitation to Anglicans did not represent any change in the Vatican's attitude toward the Anglican Communion.
Well, stay tuned. There's much more current straight ahead.
Coming up, they're not the Rolling Stones, but you can catch them on tour this Christmas season.
What's unique about our sisters' concerts are that they are an expression of who we are as consecrated to God.
Well, welcome back to Currents. The holiday season kicks off this upcoming weekend, and with it, plenty of Christmas music to listen to.
Absolutely. Just a lot of it. Now, there's what we expect. You know, there's everything from Handel's Messiah to Mannheim Steamroller. Personally love Mannheim Steamroller. It would not be Christmas without them. There's also the easy listening tunes, Johnny Mathis, Old Blue Eyes, Frank Sinatra. Even hard rock bands like the Trans-Siberian Orchestra have gotten into the spirit of things as well.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of has a little Christmas in them, but one of the hottest tickets in town this Christmas may be a group of singing nuns. That's right, you heard me right. The Daughters of St. Paul will soon kick off their Christmas concert tour, and I had a chance to find out more when I spoke yesterday and did the snake a little bit with Sister Martha Ross, a daughter of St. Paul. We're here with Sister Martha Ross. Thank you so much for being with us here today on Currents.
Well, thank you, Francesca. I'm really happy to be here.
And we are looking forward to your Daughters of St. Paul choir. You're coming here to do a couple of concerts in Brooklyn. Tell us a little bit about the songs that you have planned, why you do these concert tours every year, and what fun it is for you and for other people that are there to listen to you.
Well, you know, it started out 15 years ago at Snug Harbor in Staten Island with one concert. This year, it's a 6-state tour for 2 weeks. Very intense. All of the sisters that are involved have other jobs. So a lot of times we practice at night. I know when I was actually in the choir, I commuted sometimes between New York and Boston. So those 5-hour drives were times when I just got brainwashed with the words to make sure I had all the words correct, because it's completely memorized. So it's a beautiful time, a great bit of synergy. And I think what's unique about our sisters' concerts are that they are an expression of who we are as consecrated to God. Every day we make an hour of adoration, and the song comes out of that prayer. Really
What kind
does.
of songs do you think people can expect to hear? Are they particular, or are they just regular Christmas carols, or what?
They're all different. We'll start with some things like "O Little Town of Bethlehem," like a choir to one. We'll get into some spirituals like "Oh, What a Wonderful Child," and that it just explodes on the screen. It's really nice. There's some that are more nostalgic, like I believe there are angels among us. And that's for all our people that, through the year, you have them too. People that are special to you, people sometimes that have gone before us and are no longer with us at this Christmas. So
it's your way of paying homage in that respect. Yeah. How many people are in the choir?
Usually it can vary from 8 to 13.
Okay.
The sisters have powerful lungs. They're all individually mic'd, and we have some great soloists.
Do you really? And I was looking at some of your videos on Facebook, I think. These nuns are really hip, actually. You have Facebook pages and all kinds of things posted on there. You get into it. People are having fun. They're doing videos behind the scenes. Yeah. I mean, they're kind of rocking out.
Oh, they are. And, we go from something really solemn, like Sister Ann Jones sings this great, "Oh, Holy Night." I mean, it's like the song was written for her. There's not a dry eye in the place at the end. And then we'll do something like just, just really rocking out with the drummer boy sounds like you're there with the camels and everything moving, and Christmas gifts. It's a great time too. It's so much fun. And then what was really neat I know in Brooklyn last year and in a lot of our other concerts, they just call the kids up.
Yeah.
So the kids get to be there with the sisters.
So it's a family thing.
Very much. A lot of people say, "Sister, I come every year to this because this is how I kick off my Christmas. This is what it really means. This is what Christmas really means."
This is what the season's really about. And you play the trumpet, and you've done so in front of the Pope John Paul II, and at Castel Gandolfo as well, right?
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah. Oh, that was so exciting. I played for him. I played for him 3 times.
Wow.
And the first time was in that little marble chapel, and it's like the sound is going to reverberate, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to be too loud. But it was fine. And actually, when he came out into the audience hall, because we had a small audience with 30 of our sisters, and the first thing he came out, he said, "I heard your trumpet." And he made a little sound, and everybody started laughing. And then the last time I played for him was at Castel Gandolfo, and it was after he had been shot. He was with the cane, and he was sickly. And actually, one of our sisters, who is in an infirmarian there at Castel Gandolfo, said he stayed a lot longer. And because I played, and the sisters sang that beautiful Pescador de Hombres, and he loved it.
And it's that kind of a thing that keeps everybody coming back for more, not just the Pope, but everyone.
Right.
So every year. So you have a couple of concerts coming up here in Brooklyn. We're going to talk a little bit about that afterwards. We'll make sure that we post it up on our website and make sure people know where they can go to come check you out. And
our Facebook, too. If they want to go on Facebook, Daughters of St. Paul Choir, you can keep up with us. You can post prayer intentions and just see what's going on.
I love this. This is the hippest nun I've ever met. Sister Martha, you're rocking out. You're talking Facebook. You're speaking my language. I love it.
Good. Well, our congregation is dedicated to evangelization with media. So we pray for you. We pray for everyone who works in media that they can really offer the message that makes us whole, that just helps human dignity, that brings peace and justice, that radiates the message of Christ. So
well, thank you so much, Sister, for being with us today. It is all part of the new evangelization. That's it for now.
Thank you.
How cute is she?
It's so cool. She is a hip nun.
Isn't
she's
she?
Dancing and singing. She's got a great voice, obviously, and she plays trumpet too. So she's like a woman after my own heart.
She's good in your book, right?
That's right. She's awesome.
Yeah, they have a concert coming up here. I think it's Monday the 30th. I'm putting it in my blog or in the Currents blog, Riding the Wave. But they have one coming up here, and then they're going even as far as Ohio and Jersey, and she said it's a six-state tour.
Wow. So it's like, I don't know, it's almost like a movie which shall remain nameless with some really cool nuns singing along. It's really cool. I really enjoy that. And nuns on Facebook. Who would have ever thought?
They're all there too. You can friend each one of them if you want.
It's so awesome.
I know, it's great. You can find out more about the Daughters of St. Paul and their upcoming concerts on our blog. Just head over to currentsny.net, click on Riding the Wave in the right-hand part of the screen.
Well, stay tuned. There's much more Currents coming up straight ahead. Coming up, dancing to a different beat. A humble religious order celebrates its 800th anniversary.
Well, some of the more popular television shows these days are the ones featuring dance, which I seem to be getting into these days.
Of course. You and a nun, dancing. Maybe you should be on one of those shows.
I've done that a little bit.
You and the nun.
Samba with the best of them.
Actually, we got all these shows like Dancing with the Stars, So You Think You Can Dance, stuff that I would never be good at. But a place you're actually less likely to see dance is church.
But this past weekend, dance was part of the celebration at All Saints Church on Madison Avenue. The occasion, the 800th anniversary of the Franciscan Order. Why dance, you ask? Well, we have the answer. Take a look.
Franciscans have had a long tradition of using all the elements of the arts. The minister generals of the Franciscans have recently talked about the ministry of the arts as part of their ministry of the gospel.
Francis, as he said, was known to sometimes dance. When he spoke, his feet would move as in a dancerly movement. He loved all creation, and we wanted to explore Franciscan spirituality through movement and prayer and dance.
The origins of the Franciscan order began in the early 1200s with a man named Francis of Assisi. He began to go out to pray for guidance at these small chapels that were out and around the city of Assisi. He had the experience of the crucifix speaking to him and saying to Francis and speaking through the face of Christ, saying, "Build up my house, for it is falling down." He was supported by the Benedictines, and he began to follow his way of life by following the gospel. So we're celebrating the beginning of that whole movement of the Franciscan movement of the men, the women, and the people living in the world.
Dance Vespers would be a Vespers service that integrates dance into the liturgy of the Vespers.
Francis and Clara and their followers loved the world. They sang about the world, the beauty of the world and the treasury of the world.
In his canticle, he praises the air and the wind and the water and the fire and the earth. So in the procession, we had those elements brought in. The blue cloths representing the air, the red cloths, the fire, a large globe representing the earth, and then to add to the sense of celebration, we had the scarves of various colors.
I like the Franciscans a lot.
Their way of life with following St. Francis, living simply.
It's an open order, that it is inclusive and non-judgmental and very humanistic.
I'm learning a little bit about the Franciscans because Father Neil came and spoke with us, and that was very lovely.
I like their philosophy, I like their way of life, and it's a very gentle, caring way of life, and I think there's too little of that presently.
The people have a kind of a feeling for the Franciscan tradition. They like our liturgies, they like the way we relate to them. We try to be, even though some of us are ordained, we try to be brothers, more so than being fathers.
I've been personally drawn and influenced by the Franciscans, and I love their spirituality and feel it's something for everyone and something that I can embrace. I love the sense of joy and celebration and a loving, loving God.
I think it causes me to celebrate and to share that celebration with other people. So I think this 800th anniversary provokes me and my brothers and sisters following Francis to be sharing our Thanksgiving, like inviting people in here this evening to share with us.
Being meek and mild and having gentleness be part of your life and part of your demeanor and part of your spirit. That's kind of what it's all about for the Franciscan order. And it's definitely something that should be celebrated.
Yeah, humility, lending a hand, sharing. My mom actually named me after St. Francis. And of course, as a girl, you spell it with an E and not an I.
Right.
But you know, that whole idea of gentleness of spirit, I think, is there. As a Taurus, I kind of got the bull in the china closet on the exterior. Hopefully not so much on the interior, perhaps.
Right. That gentle spirit. That,
yes.
It started in the womb. You
yes.
know? But yeah, definitely 800 years going strong for the Franciscan order. So. Well, that's it for this edition of Currents. Coming up tomorrow, an early Thanksgiving lunch. Be sure to keep us on your menu.
And until then, you can always catch us online. The address there is currentsny.net.
And you can also become our fan on Facebook. Facebook.com/CurrentsNY is the address there. Well, for all of us here at Currents, I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night.